welcome back here. So we've given the mud some time to dry out. I've skim coated the whole wall a few times, and you saw that. And now it's time to sand. So I have my 4-inch blade right here, and there's really not a lot to sand, but I'll just go around in the corners and scrape away any high spots that were incurred from the trowel. Okay, so now we're going to sand, and I have a sanding pad right here. This is a sanding pad made by 3M, and it's fine grit here. So I'm just going to put my mask on and do a quick sand of the surface. Okay, so as you can see, the sanding is minimal. Now what I'll do is I'll turn on my vacuum to suck up any of the dust here that is left along the top of the granite. Okay, now I'll take my dust brush here and just dust off the surface so that when I go to prime, the primer won't be priming on top of dust here. Get in the corners. And then what I like to do too is I like to use a wet sponge, get rid of all the water from it, and just go across. And the sponge is going to pick up any of the residue that I wasn't able to get with the dust brush here. Okay, so this is going to ensure that when you prime it, your primer is not going to bubble or stick or try to dry on top of dust, because the dust is bad, okay? Things don't like to stick to dust, and you can see what comes off here, okay? So even if you use a dust brush, you still want to go over that area with a wet sponge, because there will be dust that is still on the surface here. So I'm pretty happy with this now, and to do a test, just run your finger across it, and as you can see, there's no dust that's on my finger. So we're gonna get ready to prime this, so I'll be back shortly. Okay, so I dusted down the surface, so I'll take a close up to see the corners. And we'll come into the middle of it here. And You can see that it's totally smooth. Okay, so now we're ready to prime the wall here, and we're going to prime it with the Benjamin Moore Fresh Start Primer. It's a premium primer by Benjamin Moore, and the stuff is thick and it hides a lot of the imperfections. So just remember to use a quality primer in case you didn't do such a good job with the sanding, and if there's any dents or nicks or scratches, you want to definitely use a good primer here. So the roller that I'm using is a Benjamin Moore Aura roller, and it's a 1/2 inch nap here. Okay, so let's get started here. You see that I put down the plastic here. You want to just roll as close to the corner as possible. And I had already cut this in here, okay? So I cut it in once. And again, guys, you just want to apply a little bit of pressure to the roller here, okay? You don't want to press in too hard because that ruins the roller. So we'll come to the corner and we'll come as close as we can there, because the roller is going to give the wall a texture. Okay, so I'll come up top here. And I'll come to the bottom, come as close to the tape as possible there. We'll come up, down, and I'll come up here. Swipe up there, okay? So this is one coat of primer. We're going to let this dry out, and then we'll be back to apply a second coat of primer to ensure that that the primer really builds all up the surface, so that it'll match the texture that is above it. Because if you just do one coat of the primer, it gets sucked into the joint compound and the surface is smooth. So it's very important to always prime twice. And the benefits of priming twice is that you build up the surface, and that the second coat of primer can hide any of the imperfections in the mud that you never fixed in the first place. So always prime your repairs twice. So we'll see you in like an hour. Just rolled on the primer here. And take a quick look at this. I rolled as close to the corners as possible. Come in the middle here. Okay, so we've given the Fresh Start primer a few hours to dry out here. And I'll just come up to the top, near the light. Come to the middle. Come down low. Okay, so welcome back. We've given the Benjamin Moore Fresh Start primer over 3 hours to dry out, and that's important too. You don't want to recoat this in less than 3 hours. Okay, especially when doing 2 coats, you want to wait at least 3 hours before you do your second coat of primer. Okay, so this has dried here, and now we're just going to do a light sand. It's not going to be much. Okay, so that is my sanding here. And it's nice and smooth. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to re-prime it again to build up the texture of the primer so it matches the texture of the paint that is above the primer, because in essence that has a coat of primer and at least two top coats. And since we skim coated this area right here, the skim coat is nice and smooth. It doesn't really have a slight texture to it, and especially because the mud sucks in the first coat of the primer here. So whenever you're doing a repair, always do 2 coats of primer to ensure to build up the texture. Okay, so I'm going to grab my primer here, and I have my primer covered in plastic here so it doesn't dry out. And again, this is a Benjamin Moore Aura roller, and it's a 1/2 inch, and it's tapered off in the corners, and this allows me to get tight into the corners here. So we'll just start in the middle. And come into the corners. I'm just going to come as close to this corner as possible here. Now, since it's already primed once, you can see how far I'm able to go with the roller just from being loaded up once. Okay, so it'll come as close to the corner as possible there. We'll come off here up to the light. And feather that off, come down to the bottom, come as close to the tape as possible to leave a texture from the roller, and then lay it off. Turn it around, start in the middle, come down, and go up, and lay it off there. And lay that off there. Okay, so we're gonna give the primer overnight to dry out, and then we'll be back in the morning to start with the top coat. So we'll see you in the morning. Okay, I just rolled on this second coat of the primer. Come into the corners here. Come down low. Try to come close there so you can see the texture that it leaves behind. Hello and welcome back here. We got the wall sanded down and it's cut in, and I just rolled from the top down, and the color is a Balboa Mist, and I'm using a 1/2 inch nap roller made by Aura here. So we're just going to roll this out here. Spread this out. Come back over here, grab some of the paint and transfer it over to this side right here. Now again, I'm going to roll as close to the corner as possible here. Okay. And again, I'm applying just a teeny bit of pressure to the roller. And come as close to the corner here. Okay, I'll turn that roller to this side. Come close there. And come back up. Okay, so I'll put this down here. Okay, so this is going to complete this project of the damaged areas in the drywall caused by taking down the mirror. The mirror was glued to the drywall, and from the previous videos, you can see all the damage that was done, and you can see how I fixed it here. So some of the tools that I started with was, again, this high quality utility knife. It's made by Stanley, okay, and this really works great because of the rubber thing here. So you can put your finger on it. It gives you more control of the blade here, and these blades are very easy to swap out here. Okay, click, and then you know it's there. Okay, and then some of the other tools that I used was this Marshalltown 12x4. This is a concrete trowel, and this is great too if you have problems with your wrist. You just hold it without your wrist fixed. Whereas if you use a taping blade right here, this is a 10-inch blade, and as you can see, the corners are rounded off here. And I use this to do the first coat of the mud. Okay. So again, guys, I'll leave a link in the description of the video of all the tools and the paints and primers that I use to complete this job here. So I'll give you a close-up of this, and then I'll give you a close-up of it when it has dried. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, we've given the walls a few hours to dry out, and this is the finished product.